free class of the astrotheology course. Cheers. All right, so let's begin. All right, so here's our textbook. Okay, so we're still in the Gospels and the Zodiac, the secret truth about JC the Christ figure. All right, this is by Bill Darlison. You can get the free PDF in the description area of the video. There's a link there, or you can buy it on Amazon. All right, very affordable. If you use the free PDF, make sure you print it and bind it the same way I did, okay? All right, so this is the forgotten language of the stars. The forgotten language of the stars. We left off on page 31. We left off on page 31. We're on the second paragraph, y'all. This is black coffee. Usually I drink black coffee, no cream, no sugar. But this one has sugar. But I don't drink it with sugar, and I don't recommend anyone drinks coffee with sugar. Unless it's natural brown sugar, unprocessed. Otherwise, white sugar causes inflammation. White sugar causes inflammation. Systemic inflammation. All right? And that's something that you really don't want in your body. You want to minimize, to eliminate inflammation. So y'all should remember that many infectious illnesses and non-infectious illnesses, they result, or what makes you sick actually, is the inflammatory response, the inflammation. So no need to add more inflammation through your diet, all right? The Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, whom I have already demonstrated, all of his writings are false. Let me rephrase that. His writings regarding the New Testament are clearly false. So if you lie about one thing in a court of law, you lied about everything. All right? So watch the video that I did with Sonetta, and you'll see why I can firmly tell you that all of his works are a lie, and it's not a his. Very most likely that is a writing team. Okay, that is a writing team or a writing committee, a group of people. All right. It's all about the narrative. It's all about creating a history, something for you to believe in and have a basis to believe in it, right? So that when you're theological / Christian / Islamic historians or theologians and historians, and your historians, traditional historians, they have something to put in your face that carries weight, that has authority, all right? That gives you a reason to believe, accept, and not to consider it a belief. You understand, scholars? This is all about creating a history, a narrative transportation, all right? And to give certain groups of people an authoritative position, and to put you in the subject position. All right, let's continue. The Jewish, which is a religion, historian Flavius Josephus, somewhere around, he wrote or lived rather, somewhere around 37 to 100 CE. So what do you know? An approximation of the dates. He was born approximately 4 years after JC, the Christ figure, was allegedly crucified, terminated. And he lived, it looks like, approximately 137, 40, 60 something, 63 years, something like that. 37 and 3 is 40, 60, approximately 63 years, according to the story. So, in other words, where did he get his information? That's the first thing we need to answer. Where did Josephus get his information? Because he was not an eyewitness. He was not an eyewitness. And by the time he would have, let's say, become 20 years old, the Christ figure was already off the scene 24 years. 24 years. How long did he receive his education? How long did he receive his education? And where was he educated? Me personally, I don't know. But you have to look at 70 CE. 70 CE is when Rome, or the Romans, the Roman armies, encircled the temple. But if you watch the video that I did with Sarnetta, you'll see that there was never a second temple built. And they were not in Jerusalem. It was completely destroyed like Sodom and Gomorrah. So we see the story of Josephus is a liar, but you need to watch the video that I did with Sarnetta so you can understand the basis for what I'm saying. Don't just believe it. Watch the video. Click on my YouTube homepage, and you'll see me in a video with Sarnetta. All right? And just watch it, and you'll see that all of the New Testament, Paul's writings, everything having to do with Nazareth, and y'all should check out the relationship of Nazareth, Nazarene, and Nazi. Check that out. Do the etymology on Nazareth and Nazarene, and you'll find Nazi. Isn't that curious? Isn't that curious? You'll find Nazi, as in Nazis, World War II and Nazis. What is it? Project Paperclip or whatever, when the Nazis came into the U.S. government, the administrative state, and the Nazis right now. All of it connected to Christianity. There's a hidden message in there. Once you overcome the religious indoctrination, you will be able to see. Once you get a grasp on the concept of etymology, root words, connotative linguistics, narrative transportation, etc., you'll begin to see. All right, y'all? So we have to deal with 70 CE because this is This is a hinge point. And Josephus is the authoritative figure. His works, if I remember correctly, his works give authority to the New Testament. There was a time when his works were attached to the New Testament to give it authority. Do y'all see that? Let me repeat that. Josephus' works was attached to the New Testament to give it authority. In other words, to show you that it's legitimate and that the history is legitimate. This is the power of the pen. This is called casting spells and narrative transportation. It's a psych-op, a psychological operation. So you take a hybridized group of people, the Han Umans, and their Moorish masters, leaders, who don't have the power to militarily overtake the autochthonous Moors. And y'all should know I'm not talking about the Moorish Science Temple of America. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the European Moors, the North African or the African Moors, or even the American Moors, or the Southeast Asian and Asian Moors. I'm not talking about any individual group of Moors. Definitely not a religion, definitely not a club. I'm talking about Genesis chapter 2, autochthonous Moors sprung from the soil who are in law land. The substance and subject matter of the law, the heirs, the rightful heirs of all of the earth, its resources, including energies, including cosmic energy and commerce. In other words, natural man and woman. Natural man and woman who received the land grant. That's right. We went through this. Y'all can check this out. I think I went over this, at least the basics of it, in the video I did with Sarnetta. All right. The substance and subject matter of the law. If you understand what that means, and you understand that we're dealing with natural law, therefore heirs. If you understand that the human, the Han Uman, in law is a monster who cannot inherit land. Now, do y'all see why they've gone through such extreme and extravagant, to such an extreme and extravagant extent, sparing no detail? To attack you mentally. And what is the purpose of the attack? 1, to exterminate you. Immediately, Planned Parenthood. 2, to shorten your lifespan. That should be for obvious reasons, right? They don't want you to get wise or strong enough to ever figure out what's happening and then be able to defend yourself. All of this, the purpose of all of this is birthright theft. How is birthright theft accomplished? Just go look in Genesis chapter 1 where you see the information about the hybrid. I'm talking about the Han-Uman hybrid. Adam's Eve, greetings. Islam, Shalawama, good to see you here. If you got any comments, put it in the comment section. I'll put it out here. All right. I'm talking about the Han-Umans, not the Nephilim, not the Titans, not the Nephilim, not the Raphaim. Those are hybrids. I'm talking about the Han-Uman. Now, are they connected with, influenced by the Raphaim? Of course. Of course. But the whole point of this is to disconnect you from nature. And by disconnecting you from nature, they disconnect you from natural law, thereby putting you in opposition to natural law. And the natural law that most of us are most familiar with, because it is the most obvious, is the natural law of cause and effect. And you getting your ass handed to you every day, on the job, at home, with your woman, with your man. No peace. Oppressed everywhere you go. When you read Deuteronomy 28 and associated text having to do with the terms of the contract, you should note that it is not some mysterious sky daddy God who's looking down on you, punishing you for every little thing that you do and every little mistake that you make. That's not what is happening. It don't work like that. If you understand natural law, you will understand to look around you, observe nature, and see how things happen. It is a law of cause and effect. In other words, the curses of Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68, these are the results or the implementation or the execute, whatever, however you want to say it. That's a law of cause and effect that will punish you. For example, you eat pork. You eat the swine. You know, I was very lucky when I was coming up in this respect. My biological mother, she remarried after my biological father and her divorce. She married a Muslim, Nation of Islam, very devoted. This man had the patience of Job. I admired this guy because my mother, she was very domineering, and she basically just ran over the guy. But he was very patient, and he dealt with her, and he kept his peace, and he lived a long time. The man lived a long time. I wish I could have seen him before he passed away. But he recently passed away, I think about a year ago. But his name was LB Warren. And LB used to take me to the Nation of Islam mosque sometimes when I was a child. And so I was able to hear the stories about Yaqub. And y'all know how it goes. Y'all know how it goes, right? With the Nation of Islam. And so I was very lucky I was very lucky to be able to get that education. And he would sit at home and he would listen to what's that guy's name? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He would listen to his recordings at home, and I would sit there and listen because, for some reason, Adam, when I was younger, I used to sit around. I used to enjoy listening to older people speak. I really enjoyed listening to older people speak, and I like listening to the music that they listen to, like the blues and the 60s and 70s soul. Well, to this day, I still like the music, but I try to stay away from it because it's negative, and I don't want the negativity in my consciousness. Adam E. H. Rap Brown was my imam when I was young. Oh, really? Wow, man! I would love to. I would love to talk to you and hear some of the stories that he shared with you. That's a guy I admire. So yeah, man, I had that amazing experience, but I also had the church experience. But I rejected the church experience from the time I was a little boy. Adam's Eve, a man of few words. Okay, all right. I rejected the whole Christianity thing, the Baptist thing, from the time I was real little. But when I got to be a teenager, I went into a Christian organization. And like Dr. Clark said, I outpoked the Pope. Full-time minister and all of this stuff, read everything, and man, I was messed up out here. But my point, what is my point? Where was I, y'all? I was talking about Genesis chapter 1. Oh, if you check Genesis chapter 1, the methodology of conquering the Moors would be a psychological operation, because they didn't have the military creativity and genius to conquer us physically. Y'all hear me? But the dark priesthood, when I say priesthood, I'm not talking about theologians. I'm talking about what we would call today professors, subject matter experts. Subject matter experts. Let's call them the Yaqub class. Who went bad, who went rogue. Y'all hear me? This is the dark priesthood. And I told y'all in a previous video, who are these mysterious people that everybody calls the dark priesthood or the black priesthood? Why dark, why black? And after this, I'm going to get off of that and go back on topic. Because Saturn, this is the Saturnalian Brotherhood, priest of Saturn, the subject matter experts who worship Saturn. That's right, the planet Saturn with the ring around it that has the biggest ring of all the planets. It's dark. Usually it's dark gray, monochrome type of color when you see it in the images. What's up? Some children are so impressible. They look at me. They look at me and they see maybe superhero, because they don't see people like me often. So this is the dark priesthood, y'all. Subject matter experts. What subject matter? Law, banking and finance, chemistry, organic and general, biochemistry, aeronautics, aerodynamics, material sciences. Need I go further? architecture, linguistics, all of the natural sciences, while you Moors have been put to sleep, and your sleep is called religion. That's why you're getting your asses handed to you. You have been neutralized. You have been neutralized. And your default setting is against natural law. Therefore, nature is punishing you. That's right, cause and effect. There's no hocus pocus, no magic, nothing of that sort at all. It is natural law that is punishing you. So for example, when you eat, say you eat a pig, well, guess what? Y'all ever look at a pig? It has blue eyes, right? It has blue eyes. What color is its skin? Its skin is pink. Pink to what? Let's just say it's pale, very pale. Does it have black hair? A wild boar has black hair or brown hair, right? But the pigs that you all are eating doesn't have black hair or dark brown hair to protect it from the sun. No. What does it do? It rolls in the mud to put dirt over itself so that its skin won't be irritated and burned from the sun. So it likes to lay in mud. The water cools it. The mud blocks the sunlight. Y'all see? But do y'all think that's a natural animal? A natural animal will have a space suit. It'll have dark skin. Or it'll have hair covering its skin. Right? So when you eat a pig, you're eating a hybridized animal. I'm not talking about the antibiotics that they put in the pigs, which makes it even worse. I'm not even talking about the fact that the pig is a scavenger. It'll eat anything. Actually, I saw a video. I don't know if this is true, y'all, but I saw a video before where the pig was offered fresh meat and rotten meat. The pig chose the rotten meat. So when you eat the hybridized animal, you get what? High blood pressure. You get all kind of infections, some really nasty ones. Some really nasty ones, especially those that affect your neurological system, that you can't get rid of easily. All right? See what acting out of harmony with nature does? But you were raised from a little baby eating pigs, eating their intestine. Chitlins. My mother used to cook chitlins. Fortunately, I never liked them. I never liked the way they smell, and I never liked the way they taste. Pig nose. Ugh. Pig nose. Pig ears. They call it a snout. And y'all also know that the cow is a hybrid animal. That's why the cow is a hybridized animal. That's why the cow, you eat enough of the cow, Yeah, pig's feet. Yeah. And you know what, y'all? In Asia, they eat chicken feet. It's funny because Vietnamese people eat, the pig and the cow and the chicken feet just like we do. Filipino people, just like we do. Just like we do. And y'all know that here in Vietnam, they were enslaved by the French. Adams Eve's right here in Alabama too. Yeah, see, the Hebrew Israelites have given y'all a terribly wrong view or idea of who we are as a people. We are global. The autochthonous Moors, Genesis chapter 2, we are global. And we come in various complexions, from light to dark, various types of noses and lips and ears and textures of hair. Just like there are many types of trees, many types of plants, and many types of flowers. I'm talking about natural. And so it is with the autochthonous Moors. The natural people sprung from the soil all over the planet. There is no division. But yet, the Hebrew Israelites are just as bad as the Christians, are just as bad as the so-called historians who create these false separations, dividing people by nation states that didn't even exist 150 years ago, 200-300 years ago. They didn't even exist. But yet this is what they're teaching in history classes and in churches and the Hebrew Israelites. All right? And it's such a shame, it's such a joke. Co-slave master, loud traffic, yeah, man, yeah. Here in Vietnam, they like to drive what they call motorbikes, motorcycles. Back in the 80s, we used to call them mopeds, but they're bigger than a moped, heavier. But that's what they remind me of, because you can zip through traffic. But it's disgusting to see how low our people have gone to manipulate and get fiat off of their own people. Now, some of them may be hybrid, even though they're like this, they may be hybrid, right? They may be hybrid. They can be as dark can get and still be a hybrid. In fact, I wish I could remember the source, but the African leaders, I read in a source, I don't remember where I got it from. I wish I could find it. But the African leaders are actually European, or the descendants of European Moors. Descendants of European Moors who have been put in place to maintain the present day power structure. So, in my opinion, they're also hybrids. Why else would they be in that position? I mean, are they all cowards? They all have been cowards? Or is it that they're also hybrids and they're working together? It's a system. You don't know they're a hybrid because they look just like you. And wouldn't that explain why they're raping Africa? and why Africa is still down to this day. But anyway, I don't care anything about that because I'm not African. All my people come from America. And until we get our stuff together, they have to fight their own battle, right? They have a land of their own. They don't have to deal with the things we have to deal with. So if anybody's going to help anybody, they ought to be reaching out to us to help us, not us helping them. Right? That's crazy. So I really don't want to hear anybody ever tell me, why don't you go to Africa or anything about Africa? Why don't the Africans, however 52, 54, however many countries are over there, why don't they start doing something for us? They have their own governments, their own resources. We're not in power. Pan-Africanism, please. But anyway, let's go back to this. So the hybrids have been commissioned according to Genesis chapter 1. Now we're talking about Josephus, right? Josephus' works regarding JC the Christ figure is what gives authority to the New Testament. That's my point of talking about all of this. Genesis chapter 1, the Han-Uman, human, the colorable man, mankind who in law, colorable means it looks like but doesn't have the substance of. Looks like a man but does not have the substance of a man. What does that mean? Well, the autochthonous Moors are the substance and subject matter of the law. They are the land in law. So a symbolicum is what? The exact opposite. They have no substance. It's like fiat. They have no substance. They're not a rightful heir to anything. What does that make them? That makes them a subject. That makes them property. Y'all got it? I'm not being mean or harsh. I'm talking law. There is a big difference between law and a legal system. Completely different. You're talking legal system, that's Christianity. Law, that's natural law. Natural law has to do with heirs. The accumulation of generational wealth only can happen when wealth is passed or transferred from one generation to the next. This is why trust law is so, not so, it is essential to pass wealth from one generation to the next. In North America, that will not happen unless you know who you are. Y'all see why everybody always talks about trust law and why trusts, while there's a certain organization that wants to destroy every trust, they'll go in and they'll say the trust is a sham because you didn't follow, you didn't do this and you didn't do that and you didn't do this and you didn't do that. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Why? Because if you start to have generational wealth from one family, one clan, one tribe, one nation, The entire Moorish kingdom, accumulating generational wealth. What does that do to the hybrid? What does it do? That means that the Escheat program is crumbling. Escheat, cheat, as in cheat you out of your land. How do they cheat you out of your land? By making you stupid, getting you into religion, Christianity. Y'all see it? So the Han Uman, going back to Genesis chapter 1, the Han Uman was commissioned for the purpose of its manufacturing. I don't know what to call it. The purpose of that genetic engineering project, which is referred to in Genesis chapter 1, they are given a commission. And the commission is to have in subjection or put in subjection everything that's moving on the earth. The Goyim, the cattle, the chattel, hence chattel slavery, the Goyim. Genesis chapter 2, autochthonous Moors who are sprung from the soil and who are the rightful heirs are to be put into slavery forever, in perpetuity. Do y'all see the connection? Doctrine of discovery. Do y'all see that? Unum sanctum. The Pope claims all land, all wombs, the entire earth, all substance on it, for himself as the vicar of Christ, as a representative of Christ. As the representative, he has complete authority or management, ownership of everybody's inheritance. So the Pope brings maritime law onto the land through Christianity. Y'all see it? This is why there's so much references to Mary. I'm sorry, to the sea rather. This is why when the Pope comes out, he comes out with his what? With his mitre on, his mitre. He's presenting himself to the people as a Dogon, which is a Raphaim, right? A descendant of the Nephilim. And he's coming out speaking Roman law. That's the Holy See. Now, I've presented that to all of y'all. The Holy See, S-E-E, that's a Roman law, his authority. The source of his authority. So that's Oannes Dogon coming up out of the water, educating the people. JC fed the fish, fed the people with 2 fish, Pisces, right? Confusion, opposition, duality, intentional deception, and 5 loaves of bread. And 5 loaves of bread. Is it 5 loaves of bread, y'all? I think it was 5 loaves of bread. That's Virgo, holding the stalks of wheat or stalks of corn, depending on what lexicon or reference work you look at. All right? Virgo. Who is Virgo? In the Philippines, they call that Mother Mary. Maritime, Marina, as in bay, Marina, maritime, as in sea, as in myrrh. This is the power of etymology. So I don't need to know your doctrine if I understand the science of etymology and other linguistic concepts like word morphology. If I have an idea of the grammar rules, I can figure it all out. Okay? When I add to that an understanding of mythology, law, and history always go together. Let me add to that. Law, history, and banking and finance always go together. So if I understand these things, I can figure the whole thing out. And you might not like it. But to be frank with you, I don't give a damn. The Jewish historian. Let me stop for a minute. So if you, I don't know if this is easy. My thought was this is easy. If you want a good place to start to harmonize yourself with natural law, a good place to start is simply by changing your diet. You don't have to do everything at once. Try to stop eating pork altogether. If you can't stop eating pork altogether, try to eat less of it. Do that. Okay? And then, trust me, when you stop eating it, you'll lose a taste for it. Stop eating acidic foods. Stop eating beef. Try to get yourself where you can stop eating meat altogether. Stop eating chicken or reduce it, okay? Or if you're going to eat meat, eat it maybe once a month, once every 2 weeks. And if you want to, eliminate it totally. These are easy things you can do. All right? But the most important thing that you can do is to proclaim your nationality. You need to find out who you are. You need to find out who you are. And then make it known publicly. Put it on the public record who you are, your nationality. You are royally effed if you don't do that. All right? You're royally effed if you don't do that. You must reconnect yourself with the land. Why? Because the land is a more. You're the rightful heir. And you must disconnect yourself from Christianity, from all religion, and return 110% to nature. As long as you are in the Christian mindset, quoting Christian scriptures as a Christian, you are under the jurisdiction of Christianity. In other words, you're civilly dead. You can talk about, let's say, Noble Drew Ali. You can talk about nature. You can do all of these things. But you're praying to JC the Christ figure. You're quoting Paul. And you're talking Christian lingo. You're out of harmony with nature. And eventually you will be corrected. And there's nothing wrong with being corrected. It's not for me to correct you. I'm passing the information on to you. You must escape, completely abandon Christianity and return to nature. Follow the Most High's commandments, His laws, His instructions. Look around you. Look around you. You see evidence of natural law. You don't see any evidence of a JC the Christ figure other than what your preachers are talking about. And how could you possibly be doing anything wrong by living in harmony with nature? Where's the wrong in that? There's no argument about doctrine. None whatsoever. Absolutely none. And it's free. You don't have to pay for it. You just have to be willing to use your intelligent mind. And make time for it. You can do it all yourself. You don't need me. In fact, you don't need anybody. But I and other people can accelerate your learning. Unfortunately, because of your indoctrination to have little respect for education and for learned men and womb men, you don't want to pay for it. See what Christianity has done to you? You receive free, so give free. Right? How are you going to become an expert in anything if you have to give it all away for free? You won't be able to support yourself. Your woman will leave you. Your little heirs will grow up suffering and eventually have no respect for you. You see how ridiculous that is in practice, y'all? Oh, the electricity got turned back on. You see how ridiculous that is? You give free. I mean, you receive free, so give free. How are you going to become an expert? No, but the established Hebrew Israelite organizations and the established Christian organizations and institutions like those will tell you, oh, don't listen to him, her. They're begging for money, or they want to charge you. They want you to buy a book. Okay, well, no, they're not saying that because they're saying that because they're established. Okay, there's a more out here who does the same thing. Don't listen to them. We've been around so long. Only listen to us. Foolishness. If you want an expert, if you want to develop an expert and you want expert advice, that person needs to do that work 24/7. And to expect for someone to suffer so that they can educate you for free, well, that's illogical, right? They got a family to feed and themselves to feed. They need to enjoy life and be able to do the things that they want to do. It should not be a sacrifice. That's Christianity. It's genocidal. That's right. In other words, it is disruptive and destructive to families. But you have been indoctrinated and miseducated to believe that. So you don't want to be a patron to support those people who are teaching you. You don't want to because of Christianity. You want it free. And trust me, I know all about that. Not only from this work, but in medicine and everything else. And not just from me, but I know a lot of dentists who suffered because they were trying, let me repeat that, they were committed to doing dentistry in our neighborhoods, and they lost their shirt because nobody wanted to pay. Nobody wanted to pay them. And then these same people blame the white man for their oppression. Now I'm just saying it is what it is, okay? It is the, hold on y'all. It's the Christian mindset. It's the Christian mindset, right? That's the problem. But you're out of harmony with nature, therefore the law of cause and effect is spanking you. Day in and day out, spanking you. Okay, so let's go back. It's Josephus' histories about JC the Christ figure that gave authority or made people think that the New Testament is true, is real, that it's historical. It is his works that was attached in the New Testament early on when it was being printed. The Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, Flavius, and he's a Jewish historian. Flavius, is that Roman? Sometime around 3700 to 100 CE, tells us that certain parts of the temple in Jerusalem were decorated with celestial and zodiacal imagery. All right? He's talking about the second temple, I'm assuming. It doesn't say whether he's talking about the first or the second temple. Let's not assume. Let's just have both in mind. But we know there was never a second temple built, right? We know that. The veil separating the inner and outer courts was decorated with symbols of the zodiac signs. The 7 lamps before the altar of incense signified the 7 planets. And the 12 loaves that were on the table signified the circle of the zodiac and the year. Y'all can check this in Josephus on page 107. Y'all go check it, okay? Josephus, page 107. Now, this is the document, the authoritative document that was used to prove that the New Testament was or is historical. And it is full of astrological references. The veil separating the inner court and outer court was decorated with symbols of the zodiac signs. The 7 lamps before the altar of incense signify the 7 planets. The 12 loaves that were upon the table signified the circle of the zodiac and the year. Josephus, page 107. Go ask your general, your captain, your officer, your pastor, your imam, your priest, your reverend, Hebrew Israelite, Christian, Muslim. Go ask them Let's explain this to you. They might give you an answer something like this. Well, that's what Josephus said, but that ain't in the Bible. But you have to use your intelligent mind, right? And the more you learn about this, the more you will see that it is actually there. When you go into the etymology, when you go into the philology, you'll see it all. In fact, let me help you. I put the link to the Devil's Pulpit in the description area of this video. I put the link to this book, our course textbook, in the description area of this video for your convenience, for your study. Now, the Devil's Pulpit, don't let the name throw you off. It's called the Devil's Pulpit because the religious leaders branded the author, Robert Taylor, branded him, called him a devil, the same way we call hybrids white devils. They called him a devil. In the same way, many of our people, you know the N-word? They call each other the N-word to take the power and the sting out of it. They've made it affectionate. In many cases, that's my N, right? Well, he did the same thing way back in the 1830s. Whenever it was he was giving those lectures, or even before then. He said, okay, well, you're calling me a devil, telling people not to come hear my lectures. Okay, so he said, I'm going to call this book The Devil's Pulpit. In other words, his pulpit, where he taught the people astrotheology, which is what is taught in the inner room that you ain't supposed to never know nothing about. You're supposed to be on the outside. Only the initiates get the information that's in the inner room. All right, which is the philology, the etymology, the mythology, the architecture, the history. These days, or even then, I would say the banking and the finance, all of it go together. You need it all to understand. All right, so the text has a double and triple meaning. Now, the Devil's Pulpit, is it a challenging reading? Yes, it is. I provided videos on the Devil's Pulpit. I'm thinking about doing the Devil's Pulpit again. But if I do it again, I don't know if I'm going to do it free because it's too much work. I might do it on Patreon. I have it here for free. But if I do it again, it'll be on Patreon and it'll be better. All right, but I give the explanation and commentary. Y'all can really work with it if you have a real desire to learn. So all of that is there for you. So when they give you an answer, you have books that you can check their answer. I'm not holding anything back from you. A good place, have y'all heard of the channel Mr. Astrology? I wanted to say thank you because they posted one of my videos and I haven't been able to, I try to leave a message, but their comments are turned off. But there's a gentleman on the Mr. Astrology channel who also does astrotheology. And from what I can see, his work is very good. Excellent. So y'all go check him out. All right? And all these hustlers who are hustling you, keeping you in that toxic mind state, any mindset, any paradigm, any worldview that's outside of nature, or 1 foot in and 1 foot out, is toxic. So any organization that has you involved in the New Testament, all right, these are not your friends. Let's continue. So, before the destruction of the temple in 70 CE, we knew that was coming, right? Astrological symbolism could be found at the very heart of Jewish worship. Jewish is a religion. Worship is a religion. Our people did not get down with religion. Natural people, autochthonous men and women. You can replace Jewish with autochthonous Moors. And you can replace worship with science and engineering. Okay? Science is about what? Observing. In modern science, they say, you observe, you create a hypothesis, you test it, right? Testing has to be repeated. No, I'm not talking about that. We have capacity for what? We have intuition. We have imagination. And we know that our intuition and imagination is unsurpassed. The hybrids don't have it at the level we have it. So you have to factor that in too. Also what? Cosmic downloads. Cosmic downloads. Y'all ever been in the shower? And you're just relaxing, taking a shower, and then your mind, maybe you ask a question, or something just comes to your mind, and it's boom. Or you just wake up, you're in the process. Are y'all conscious of when you're waking up? And as you're waking up, you have information, answers, directions, or instructions. Have y'all experienced that? I know I have, all the time. Cosmically connected. Oh, let me backtrack. Another thing you can do to reconnect with nature immediately is take your shoes off. Walk in the dirt. Walk in the grass. All right? Go to a metro park, whatever you call the park systems, near your house where they're not spraying chemicals. And just put your feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground and relax. Chill. Go pick you some herbs, some roots, some tree barks. If you're scared, don't make a tea out of them. Just go through the process of it. All right? Spend less time on, watching TV. See, education is free. I heard Chief Warhorse. Y'all go subscribe to Chief Warhorse's new channel. Y'all know my people are Shata. On my mother's side. Y'all go subscribe to Chief Warhorse's channel. I think it's called Cooking with Chief. Cooking with Chief Warhorse. Google, not Google, but search it on YouTube. Y'all go subscribe. But she said something that was that stuck with me. She has a membership program, right? And she wants people, of course, to support her channel so she can do everything that she wants to do and that she needs to do for the work that she's doing. Everybody should support her. So she said, I want to see how many of y'all actually join or become members. And then she said, education is not free. Somebody paid for it already. And I thought about that. I said, wow, I never thought about it like that. Yes, I know I paid for it already. But anyway, y'all go subscribe to her channel. If you respect me, go subscribe to her channel. All right, so let's continue. Now, y'all know there was never a second temple built. There was never a second temple that was destroyed. In other words, the temple being destroyed in 70 CE, that's all a made-up story. Watch the video that I did with Sonetta, and you'll get why that is. All right, you'll see the evidence. Let's continue. All right. So astrological symbolism. Now y'all remember in ancient times, astrology and astronomy were synonymous. They meant the same thing. Astrological symbolism could be found at the very heart of Jewish worship, could be found at the very heart of all aspects of the autochthonous Moors' lives. That was science. Okay? Not a religion, not worship. Science. The principles that govern everyday life. It was the major type of technology. Let me rephrase that. Life was governed by natural phenomena and the laws that produce those natural phenomena. We were scientists and engineers. Today, we are subjects in the main. We are subjects and religious fanatics. And we are brainwashed in the main through the dogma of all of these religions. Okay? And the Jewish greeting, Mazal, I think this is Mazal Tov. My print is not clear. This is on page 31. Mazal Tov. Can y'all, let me hold it there for y'all can see it on the camera. So if y'all been following me, y'all know what this is already. Mazel Tov. And the Jewish greeting, Mazel Tov, which means, quote, may you have fortunate constellations. May you have fortunate constellations. Look at where my fingers are. Y'all pause the video. This is page 39. May you have fortunate constellations. Demonstrates that contemporary Judaism or modern Judaism still has some residual connection with constellational astrology. So why is it that your Hebrew Israelite leaders are teaching you all of this doctrine? Be it the doctrine coming from prophets, or they teach you history, and they always say we need to come back to following these commandments. Why aren't they telling you about the astrology / astronomy? Why aren't they telling you? Why did they leave that out? Many of them are reading rabbinical works, and they're teaching y'all rabbinical doctrine, rabbinical Judaism. Yeah. Why they leave this out? The Bible itself came into being at a time when astral mythology was in constant vogue. In other words, it was popular. Astrology, the science of nature, was all that people did. They didn't do religion. Y'all should know by now that mythology, much of the mythology was real. Okay? Giants were real. Nephilim were real. Raphaim are real. Titans were real. But nobody wants you to know that. They just remixed it. The Bible itself came into being at a time when astral mythology was in constant vogue and was written for the most part after Jewish, that's religion. That's putting you somewhere, if you believe the timeline, which I don't, somewhere around the end of Babylonian captivity. 607, 687, whatever it is, whatever year, doesn't matter. The end of Babylonian captivity. This is when we see Judaism sprouting, religion. For the most part, after the Jewish people had spent 50 years of exile. Okay, so the date they have is 586 to 536 BCE. 586 to 536 BCE. And y'all know they're counting backwards, right? So they count from sometime around 10,000, 10,080, 10,800, something like, let me check. Let me see if I can find out for y'all real quick. So let's say approximately 10,000 BCE. Now 10,000 BCE, they use that based upon the history of the Egyptian pharaohs. And then they count downward to the alleged birth of JC the Christ figure. And then they begin counting upward. But what about the time that existed before Egypt? Because Egypt just didn't pop on the scene, right? They don't even say that. No, there were many nations, just as and even more technically advanced than Egypt. But that time is not counted. They don't want y'all to know about that. But anyway, let's continue. The Bible itself was written at a time when astral mythology was in constant vogue. It ruled the world. Everybody lived their life based off of nature. And was written for the most part, that is the Bible, was written for the most part after Jewish people had spent 50 years of exile, 586 to 536 BCE, in astrologically oriented Babylon. In other words, the author is stating indirectly that Babylon observed nature. Life was governed by nature. Okay, so astrology is part of nature, right? This is the study of the stars, the study of the cosmos, the study of natural phenomena, weather, heat, cold, water, etc., etc., etc. So how is it that you can not expect people who were allegedly being held captive not to be influenced by it? That's his point. That's his point. Just as the ancient Egyptians, who are credited as being the masters of astrology and teachers, the astrological teachers of the house of Yasharallah in the area of astrology or nature, cosmology. And then you're going to say that astrology, astronomy, cosmology is not present in the Bible? Come on. Or in the writings? Come on. The author is saying use your intelligent mind. Put two and two together. In other words, let me restate it. The author is telling you that the editors have hidden it. Right now he's knocking at the door of Jeremiah chapter 8 verse 8, which told you that your ancestors have written lies into the book of the law, which is why we need to change the book of the law. Correct it. Correct it. So if you want to support my project to correct the book of the law, to add natural phenomena, to add nature, cosmology, astrology, astronomy, trust law, estate, bills of attainder, constitutional law, all natural law, and the laws that govern nature. If you feel it in your heart to support that project, my PayPal, paypal.me/Zion Law School, contribute your fiat, your finance, so I can have the finance to do the project and to do it properly without having to suffer. This is a big job, and I don't suffer for anybody. I'm in the covenant of grace. Not the covenant of labor. I don't suffer. And I darn sure don't put myself in a position where I'm going to suffer intentionally. No, 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 no. That's a Christian thing. I follow nature and natural law. I do everything to keep myself in harmony with nature, so that nature, Mama Earth, and the cosmos, and my people provide for me. Period. Just like you should do. Just like you should do. Okay, Christianity tells you you need to suffer and be in the covenant of work so that they can steal your energy. Shalom Islam to all the Moors. You can support my work by buying any of my books on Ancient Ibaryath. I'll tell you, I know what I know because of Ancient Ibaryath. My knowledge of linguistics, I can see through these documents, not because some mystery Sky Daddy told me, but it is because of intelligence. And there's some of you Christian Hebrew Israelites who are saying, oh, he don't have the Holy Spirit. Well, I'm proud to tell you that I don't, and I don't want it. I know what it is. All right? I know what it is. And if you knew what I know, you wouldn't want it either. And when you look at the origin of the concept of the Holy Spirit, it is just a natural phenomena of wind during springtime. You go read about it in the Devil's Pulpit. All right? And then watch the video that I've done on the Holy Spirit. So support my work if you like my teaching, if you like anything about me. If you want this message to get out, it won't get out by me alone. Y'all see that this my YouTube channel is shadow banned. Look at my content. You probably don't get notifications when I go live. Look at my number of subscribers, very low for the quality of content that I put out. Search me on YouTube and you'll find that you got to type in my whole Zion Law School. It's not going to come up unless you type in the whole thing. Better to type in Dr. Yasapa. All right? This information, nobody wants you to have it. And I'm not making any friends by putting this out here. A lot of people hate me. Not only because of the Ancient Ibaryath that I'm teaching, but also because of the astrotheology that I'm teaching. Many, many people hate me. And many people are afraid. Are afraid of this subject matter. Islam and Shalom.